Well, all right, as we are tinkering along, I got to order tanks and stuff like that. So as I'm waiting for that, I've been replacing the lights. And as you can see, I took them out. But with tinkering and with all the tiny little things that you got to do on the bus when you're converting it, when you expose one thing, it reminds you of another. So this is a vinyl wrap that the previous owner had to cover numbers and some other kind of paint job that was underneath there. And I want that gone because I want to make it all nice and clean. So instead of putting the lights back in today, I'm removing that vinyl wrap. And I looked at heat guns, and the heat guns were like 150 bucks. And I was like, man, there's got to be a better way. And then I thought of a hair dryer. So I went to a regular store and bought a $20 hair dryer, and we're gonna get rid of that vinyl wrap today. That's what we're going to do. Are you in? Are you in? Come on, get on it, get on it.
Staring at the stars from the high school yard, we carved our names and I laid on the charm.
So this is actually coming off a lot easier than I expected, which I'm grateful for. But what nobody told me is I'm gonna get blisters. I got a blister. So I need to take a second and put something on my fingertips because the pulling of the sticky vinyl is pulling on my skin and causing blisters on my fingertips, which is not fun. As you can see, it's a pretty big blister. But yeah, that's pretty good, right? I mean, I will say the blow dryer just turned itself off because it got hot. And maybe the heat gun wouldn't do that, but totally worth saving myself $100 from a heat gun to the blow dryer. And plus it gives me time to bandage my boo-boo.
All summer long, like a Beach Boys song. Stood all alone on that old lake shore, skipping stones and keeping score, losing track of time, getting lost in your eyes.
Okay, so I'm not afraid to admit I was wrong. That blow dryer, bad idea. Don't try and save money on that. It's not worth it. I bought that blow dryer the hair dryer, for $20, and it kept shutting off. It kept overheating, popping circuits, and it was just annoying. So I ended up taking that back and buying this bad boy for only $30 more. So it's twice the price. This was about 50 bucks. So Wagner Furno 300. This thing is infinitely better. I found that the hairdryer didn't get hot enough it got hot enough to pull off the vinyl, as you saw in some of the video, but it was just hot enough to warm it. And most of the vinyl came off because of force and peeling with my fingers, which caused all these little blisters. Blister, 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 big blister on this finger, blister, and blister on my pinky. So I got 4 blisters on this hand, and I got 2 on this one. So all that to say, when I got this gun, it's coming off a lot easier because I can turn up the temperature. There's some controls here that allow me to turn up the temperature, turn down the temperature, and this thing which allows me to direct the flow, and it's metal. It's just better. It's just better. For 60 bucks, an extra 30 bucks, it's not worth doing with the hairdryer. So that's the lesson for today. Let's get back at her.
There's no regret. I wanna be with you forever. Why don't we run away somewhere? This is a moment I'll always remember. There must be magic in the air, 'cause there's nothing better than a moment shared with you. I wanna be with
So as you've seen in a previous video of a time lapse, I had a friend come over. And this, I'm just making this video to show you as we go, we learn. So I've been peeling off the vinyl from the bus myself, but then a friend came over and he's like, hey, can I help? So my buddy Pat came over and he started helping with the vinyl. And let me tell you, it is 5 times faster to strip off the vinyl with 2 people. One person using the heat gun to warm up the vinyl and the other person 2 hands pulling it off. As you can see in the video, when we worked together, we pulled off that whole section in under an hour. Whereas the back of the bus and that first quarter I did by myself, and it took me about 3 hours. Of course, I was using the hair dryer first, which was a mistake. Go straight for the heat gun, and then get the heat gun, get a friend. Now, that being said, I don't have anyone helping me today, and I have the other side of the bus to do. And my brother, Derek, has given me a tool that attaches to the drill and spins. It's a little rubber disc about 1 inch thick that apparently peels off. I can use one hand to heat up the vinyl, and the other hand can use the drill to peel off the vinyl. I have not used this yet. We are going to try it and we're going to see how it goes. I've got a whole side of the bus to mess up and see how well it goes. So stay tuned. This is the stripping wheel that my brother has given me. We're going to try this thing out and see how it goes. Well, it has taken me about 5 minutes to realize I don't like this wheel. It chews it up and it makes it into smaller chunks, whereas using 2 people, one on the heat gun and one pulling the vinyl, it comes off faster, in bigger chunks, less of a mess, doesn't damage the paint. Yeah, I'm not a fan of this strip-off wheel. If you've had different success with it, let me know. It's not working for me. So there's the end of that lesson. I'm gonna get back to it.
Warm wind and fireflies, you stole a kiss by the candlelight. Sweet honeybee, you really shake my tree. Dancing through a storm in a convertible vet.
Well, it's been crappy weather for a while now, and it's not raining today, so I thought I'd take the opportunity to pressure wash the rooftop so I can prepare to paint and reseal. Not that it's leaking, but I just want to repaint it and seal it up nice and tight before the big paint job, which I hope to do soon. But gotta build stuff still. Inside first, then outside, but let's get that rooftop cleaned up.
The soft top's down and we're getting wet. Screaming seize the day. Let love lead the way. It's no secret. I wanna be with you forever. Why don't we run away somewhere? This is a moment I'll always remember. There must be magic in the air. 'Cause there's nothing better than a moment shared with you.
Well, hello. I forgot to mention this, so I'm going to just show you. I was speaking to a guy who repairs RVs, and I asked him, what is the best way to seal the RV from the bottom up? And he recommended this product, Pro Form, and it is a non-paintable rubberized undercoat. It has taken, well, my bus is 25 feet long, and it has taken me 5 cans of this to completely undercoat the everything. I sprayed it on all sorts of stuff. Mostly my purpose was I know I put treated wood for my baseboards, my subfloor, sorry. But I still wanted, I know it was treated to keep out the water and the elements, but I thought, you know what, I'm gonna do a little extra, and I put the Pro Form underneath it. That's what I did, just finished. It's really stinky in here. I'm airing it out. I got both doors, that door and that door open. It is not causing much of a wind tunnel. So I'm getting a little bit wee. Well, as I've said, the bus takes a lot of days of just tinkering. Things like this today, I was working underneath the bus and I noticed that this has holes all in it from the lights and things. So I want to seal that off. I want to chip off this paint and this glue from the original flooring. And in doing this work, I found that a lot of these bolts, or screws, sorry, that are holding this staircase in are rusted out, which is why I took them all out. I bought new screws to refasten this staircase to make it stronger. And then as I was doing that, I had to loosen up these doors, and the bolt system underneath that was holding it together was rotten. And I just thought, you know what, I'm here. So I bought a whole new washer, bolt, nut set to keep these doors fastened nice and strong. Anytime I come across a bolt that is rusted, I am taking it out and I'm replacing it with new ones. Same with screws. There may or may not be some that have been in the bus somewhere that I've missed, but I'm pretty happy with, for the most part, when I see something that is rusted, I'm taking it out and I'm replacing it with something new. I really want this bus to be done right. I want it to last, and I want whoever gets it after me to be super excited about it. And that's another reason why I'm making these videos, because that way whoever gets it after me, they can watch all these videos and see what work I've actually done. Like you can see, even taking some of these screws, whoops, I'm dropping things. Even taking some of these screws out, they broke right off. These little guys broke right off. That screw is supposed to be this long, but it broke. So I'm replacing them all strong, all new, and then I'll find a way, trying to figure out a way to seal off these holes in the metal where they screwed in. Maybe I'll just put another sheet of metal on top of it and then do an undercoating on the other side of the holes. We shall see what happens. Get to work. I don't know if you guys remember, there was a bunch of duct tape goop sitting around on here. It was like, got to be a good 2 feet of really thick, gummy, sticky, gross duct tape residue. I did a lot of research to find out what kind of product I could use to get it off aluminum and rubber without damaging the material. And after some research, I went to the store to buy some stuff, and the guy leans over the counter and goes, "You know what the secret is?" I'm like, "What?" He's like, WD-40. And let me tell you, WD-40, you spray it on, you leave it for like 3 to 5 minutes, you wipe it off, you spray it on, you wipe it off, you spray it on, you wipe it off. This thing, this stuff, no problem. Took the massive amounts of gum that was left from years old duct tape with no problem. Took me maybe 15 minutes, and it was a lot. I'll show you. I think I have a picture somewhere. I'll show you. So there's a little secret I did not know about. A little WD-40 for all your cleaning needs. Well, maybe not all, but at least the goofy gummy stuff. All right, busy day today. I had my friend Phil, the welder, come out, trying to figure out where we're going to put seating so that we can weld underneath the mounting brackets to keep it strong and legal. And then I had another friend come and drop off some tools, which is great. Andrew, very helpful. And then I had Raj, the awesome air conditioning technician that removed my Freon from my system and now is coming back to put my air conditioner in the cab of the vehicle so that I can have dashboard air conditioning while I'm driving, so I don't have to use the power and the air conditioning or whatever kind of cooling system I decide to go with in the house. Now I get to, now that I understand where the welding and what's going on with all that and the gray water tank and all that stuff, I get to put the flooring in. I'm very excited to finally be at this stage. Here we go. Well, all right. I forgot to hit record on the video. But what I'm doing is I've got 1-inch foam board. I'm using the PL for foam boards because I don't want the glue to eat away at the styrofoam. I don't have enough weighted items, so I'm just doing the first back half of the bus. Glue, let it sit, and then tomorrow, I said it 24 hours, so hopefully that'll be enough. And then I'll come back tomorrow and do the next section, and then leave that for 24 hours, and then do the final little tiny bits and pieces of doodads. But there it is, waiting to dry. But by the way, if you think it's not going to take a lot of glue, I think you'd be surprised. I was certainly surprised. I went out and got, why is this not working? I went out and got bigger tubes by recommendation from Chuck Cassidy, who I watch online a lot. And I bought the 29 ounce or 825 milliliter glue tubes. So way bigger. This is about the equivalent of 3 regular sized tubes. And I've gone through 2 of these already. And all I've done is the back half. So I gotta go buy another 2 big tubes to even come close to finishing this job. But you know what? If you're gonna do it right.
I wanna be with you forever. I'll never lose the touch when times get tough. I'll give you all I got and I won't give up. Given half the chance at doing all again, baby, you're the one. I wanna be with you forever. Why don't we run away somewhere? This is a moment I'll always remember. There must be magic in the air. 'Cause there's nothing better than a moment shared with you. I wanna be with you forever.
Here's a little thing I've decided to do that you don't necessarily have to do, but the doors in the back they're pretty thick fiberglass, but I want to insulate them. So I'm going to glue insulation to the inside, and then I'll cover that with some kind of finishing thing, because the door has indents for the mounting screws that are about 1 inch thick, and my insulation is 1 inch thick. So I'm going to use my leftover insulation that I used for the floor on the doors, because why not? I got it. I want it to be insulated, so let's insulate it. Here we go.
California. Here we go. There's a cloud. There's a cloud over this town. No one seems to mind. Walk face down. Search the stars and ride the night on Hollywood and Vine. Dress like a superhero. Sell photos and memories.
All right, so as I said, most of this bus has been tinkering, little bits and bobs and rust removal and sealing things. So what I'm doing today, I just finished putting some insulation, 1 inch insulation on the back doors where the wheelchair lift used to be, just to insulate that door a little bit and keep the temperature regulated on the inside, not losing heat and not losing cool depending on where I'm at. And today, because Phil was so kind to fabricate a lift and mount kit for the new seats that I'm putting in, because I'm not putting forward seats, I bought 2 Delica, Mitsubishi Delica seats that are captain's chairs. Both have armrests and both swivel. So I had to have Phil build a mount and a riser to lift it off the ground, and so I could mount it. Now I'm just gonna take off any kind of excess rust or old paint on the metal that we used, and I'm gonna paint it. So it's tinkering day. And then I'll probably cut some foam insulation that I put in after the third layer of flooring. So I got 3 layers of spray foam on the edges and rubber sealant on all the edges between the floor and the wall, just because I would rather be sealing it now while I'm here than have an issue later on. So fun times.
LA, there's nothing like LA. There's nowhere you can find another place to live your dreams and all their promises. LA, there's nothing like LA.
For anyone who's interested, my rear door, I took off the hinges and all the locking mechanisms just because they're kind of grimy, and so I'm going to grind them down to make them look brand new again. It's just one of those things that I want to do because I'm here. I'd rather make it look brand new and nice now while the bus is all torn apart, rather than have to repair it later because the metal's rusted or whatever. I just want it to look nice, actually. Bottom line, I just want my bus to look great, and whoever ends up with it after me, I want them to be confident that this bus was built right. So I'm replacing every screw I pull out. Well, I can't say that with confidence. So let's say almost every screw I take out, every bolt, all brand new, all shiny and new, or in the case of like the back door bars that lock the back doors closed, I'm just going to grind these suckers down because the metal looks good. So no rust, just old and grimy. You're welcome. That's all I got. I don't know. This tinkering, more tinkering. Ta-da!
California, 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 California. In the grove, the train goes round and round and round, but never gets nowhere. Sleep on the beach in Venice.
Well, look how shiny that turned out. That thing's like brand new. Now the question is to paint it or to leave it the way it is, because it looks really good. I was originally planning on painting it, but I don't know. It looks good like this. Paint it or not paint it? These are just the great, fun questions a person gets to ask when they're renovating their RV or their bus. Nobody knows what'll happen. I mean, you'll see at the end, but I don't even know right now. So carry on.
Cracks in the sidewalks and your dreams, cracks in the souls behind the eyes of people in the street. Head for the hills as soon as you get yours.
Ooh-wee, those sure turned out purty.
There's nothing like LA. There's nowhere you can find another place to live your dreams and all their promises. LA.
So as you may or may not have realized by now, I like to go overkill on weather sealing and insulating. So I have gone ahead and built the boxes for the wheel wells, fit the insulation in, taken it all out, and then sprayed a rubberized sealant coat on the wheel wells. Then I'll reinstall the insulation, put the box in place, and fill in the gaps with an expanding foam, seal the box off, and get on with the build. As I wait for some of this stuff to dry, I don't like wasting time either. So I have decided to continue on with some of my fiberglass repair work. I was just gonna leave it because it's below the living area and it doesn't affect the living area at all, but I'd rather keep this thing airtight and done right. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to repair a couple spots. I'm gonna sand it down and patch the fiberglass body on the outside, just because, well, I've got extra fiberglass and I'm waiting for stuff to dry, so I might as well do something, right? The previous owner clearly got into an accident, and this, as you can see, is below the living space, but I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna sand that down and put a patch on it. And while I'm at it, there's a little crack here. So I'm gonna sand that down and patch that. And there's one tiny little crack here that I sealed, but I'm gonna do it again, and I'm gonna do it properly, just because this is where the lights are gonna go, and that is going to affect the living space.
There's nothing like LA, California, 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 California. There's a risk, there's a deep divide between the rich and the wide-eyed, hard to resist.
I just had to make a video about this because it is the funniest and saddest thing about this whole build. So as I've said, as I'm going along, I am replacing every screw or nut that looks rusty or a bit beaten up. Which means actually I am replacing probably 90 to 95% of every bolt, screw, or part that I think needs to be updated. And recently, I took apart the doors in the back, which is where the tripod's sitting right now, and took apart these hinges, sanded them down, grinded them down, repainted them, made them look all nice. And if you recall, the locking mechanisms in another video, these were all gross and whatever. And these will now go in the door, through the lock, and be part of this is the doorknob. I turn it and it locks the door. Now, what's interesting is there's a part, as you heard while I was moving the pole, the lock bar, it made all that noise, and there's a little part, a little grommet, this big. And it took forever to find this product. I could not find it, I'll be straight up honest. I have a friend of mine who actually designs and builds machines for a warehouse. And he's like, well, let's try this place. And he tried this place, and going through their website, they actually made it. So I was able to buy 6 of these. And if you go through and you start replacing pieces before these need to be replaced because 3 of them were completely destroyed. The other 3 were okay, but they're very brittle and probably would go soon. So I ordered them, and these things, for 6 of them, cost me $50 US for 6 of these. So don't be surprised if while you're renovating your bus that you're gonna get some kind of crazy part that just costs a fortune. And yes, I bit the bullet on this because friends have helped out, and people have supplied, like my friend Phil, who did the welding, he supplied all the metal. He just donated it. He did his time for free. I have friends that are just providing me with discounted wood, lumber, and stuff like that. So, and my brother had a string of LED lights that'll probably go inside here. So because I've saved there, I didn't feel as bad spending $50 on 6 of these little things. But it did hurt. Like, it took me a bit to actually bite the bullet. I actually ordered them and then canceled it. And I was like, there's no way I'm paying. That means these are like almost $10 each, which kills me. But anyway, just a heads up, some of these little trinket things are very expensive and very hard to find. So yeah, well, let's get to work now that we've had our little rant. And now it's time for a little bit more tinkering to get rid of the glue. Where is it? His part here. I was like, I can't find it. Double-sided tape, or I think it's butyl tape perhaps, that was holding on the fiberglass wall on the outside. As you can see, some of it did not come off because this stuff is very sticky. So I'm going to heat gun it and strip it off. Just a little more tinkering. And you know, you got to keep going and plugging away on the days that aren't so exciting where you get to see all this fun stuff happen. But here we go.
The wealth cannot provide the shame behind the fame cuts like a surgical blade. LA, there's nothing like LA.
Well, so because I'm me and I don't want those lines from the paint to show up, that's weird, hard to find them there from the different colors. I don't want those lines if I decide to wrap the bus. I don't want those lines to show. And if I decide to repaint the bus, I don't want those lines to show. And I don't want to pay somebody to sand them off. So I'm going to sand them off. So that's what we're doing today. Hooray!
There's nowhere you can find another place to live your dreams and all their promises. LA, there's nothing like LA. California, 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 California.
All right, so today's lesson, if you will, is research first. I've been working on this bus for a few months now, and just recently spoke to a gentleman who's a very, very educated bus converter who's done lots, and he's just very, very educated. And he was telling me about he was going to come and help me with the wiring on the inside. And he's like, yeah, but I'd need to check other things first, like your propane tank and all that stuff, because I can't come in and touch anything unless it's to code. And he started talking to me about the clearance for the tank. And I was like, well, I've got lots of clearance. That stair is about 10 inches off the ground. This is 11, so that should be plenty. And he's like, nope, that's not the way it goes. He says, because it's propane, two things I did not consider. One is it just because that's a low point doesn't mean that this is in a safe and legally certified, whatever it is the government likes to call it, place. So he said, what if you had a flat tire and the high ground's in the middle? They actually measure that. So apparently I need 14 inches clearance from the ground to the bottom of this tank. I currently have 11. So I have to remove this propane tank and install and buy a different one. Slightly irritating, but by the grace of God, I just talked to the people about the propane tank, and because I haven't hooked it up to anything and it wasn't purchased that long ago, they are willing to take it back and exchange it for something smaller, which makes me sad because I like the idea of having a 100-pound tank, because then I would never have to refuel. And I like that idea. I know a lot of people go out there and they buy those barbecue cylinders, then they put 2 in and they last them about a week or 2. But I like the idea of having one of these, which is about the equivalent of 4 or 5 of those barbecue tanks, and only having to fuel up once every maybe 3 months. But I have to go a little bit smaller. So thank the Lord, I can exchange it for no fees and no cost other than time. And the work that has to get put in, and possibly calling the welder to come in and have some fun under the bus redoing some mounting, but we'll see. We'll see about that. It might be okay with the mounting. I'm still researching that, but I do know that there's not enough clearance, so that has to come out. Long story short, do your research first before you install your propane tank or your water tanks for that matter, because you want to have the right legal clearance underneath before you spend the money and the time to put it in.